In this video, we'll prepare cash lineups on DraftKings and FanDuel on the main slate for Week 6. We'll also reveal our Week 6 GPP lineup on FanDuel. It's a jam-packed show, and it's coming up next. Hello, everyone. I'm Eric Lee.
And I'm Michael Wiley, and we're the Fantasy Football Consultants. Eric, another week in the books. Just another plug for this contest. Hopefully everyone's joining this free contest. Look at the description for that, the DFSHub contest. Should we talk about the winners real quick, just to hit on Week 5? All right, here we have it. Top 3 this week were Joel Goldman, Chandler Lockwood, and Damon Levy, who was a former correspondent on this show. They taking our advice, making sure Chase got in there. Looks like they also had Hall, who was a big participant this week as well. So congratulations to them. Should we go out to Week 6?
Yes, let's do it. I want to point out to our viewers, Michael, that 3 weeks ago, we picked Raheem Mostert on both DraftKings and FanDuel, and he had 4 TDs and a bunch of yards. 2 weeks ago, we picked Christian McCaffrey on FanDuel and DraftKings. He had 4 TDs and a bunch of yards. Last week, we had Burrow in FanDuel and Jamar Chase in DraftKings. We almost got 4 TDs again. Just one short. Here's a challenge. Can we get at least 3 TDs from one player that's going to be both in DraftKings and FanDuel? Take it away. What's your first shot as a core player?
Well, I think we can do it with this guy, and it's because of the matchup that he has. It's Joshua Jacobs, 8,000 on FanDuel, 7,000, only 7,000 on DraftKings. He is ramping up. He is averaging 6 targets and many receptions a game, more than 15 carries a game, starting to really ramp up those yards, getting those goal line carries. He's really that bell cow back for the Raiders. Going up against a New England team that is just looking pretty bad right now. It's average against the run, where historically it has been better than average. Here's the guy who might do it. Not sure if the Raiders are going to score 4 touchdowns, but if so, Jacobs could certainly get all 4. What do you think?
Well, I like it, and I like that he's, his price has gotten a little bit lower. Speaking of a low price, especially on DraftKings, Raheem Mostert. Let's go back to the guy who did it for us for 4 TDs. Let's see if he can do it again. And I argue he's in as maybe a better situation than he was when he went off against Denver. Why? They host Carolina. 14-point favorites. By the way, he's 6,500. What a bargain on DraftKings. A little pricey, 8,500 on FanDuel. But hosting Carolina, look at these numbers. Home favorite, 14-point favorites. He has a 31 implied total. Speaking of 31, he faces the 31st rush defense in Carolina. All that, and he gets the backfield all to himself with Devon Achane, that explosive back, out this week. Game script is going to be perfect. I love that we get Mostert. I think he's a must start on DraftKings.
Especially, on DraftKings at that price. Got to get him in. Well, I'm going to spend money again, Eric. You get to save the money for us. I'm going to spend it with Jamar Chase. You got to get him in there again because they have learned their lesson. The only way to win for the Cincinnati Bengals is to get Jamar Chase the ball. That's what they've done in the weeks they've won. He's got 15 and 19 targets. He's 9,300 on FanDuel, 8,300 on DraftKings. He's going to continue to get these targets. T. Higgins may be out yet again, which is good for him. Nice matchup this week. I think got to get Jamar Chase back in the lineup yet again. What do you think?
I think you just try to troll me as much as you can. The Cincinnati plays Seattle, and you just said nice matchup. And by the way, you're not even getting my corny jokes. I said Raheem was a must start. Never mind. All right, Jordan Addison is our 4th guy. And boy, we spent a lot of money with the first 3 guys, so we got to find a little bit of a bargain here. And look, he's only $5,700 on DraftKings and $6,700 on FanDuel. He inherits a great matchup facing Chicago's defense. And folks, he's the clear number one wide receiver. Why? Because Justin Jefferson will not play. This guy is their number one draft pick this year. They're going to get him heavily involved in the game. I know they have Hawkinson, but he's going to be the go-to guy in this game against Chicago's 31st ranked pass defense. I love this play, especially given the price.
Yeah, no, good job saving us some money there. Love that we can get him in both lineups at a reasonable price, and a guy who has the upside, maybe not quite of Jefferson, but close there too. So
what we're going to do is we'll do FanDuel, then DraftKings. But Michael, we are going to have to find bargains in both of these lineups because these four core guys were pretty expensive. Let's see how we do it. All right, we're on FanDuel here, and we're going to need to look for bargains because, as you see, we can only spend an average of $5,400 of our remaining players. Let's start at quarterback, and I'm going to go at $6,900. The most impressive rookie so far this year, CJ Stroud. I'm so impressed by his poise in the pocket. Now, you can see, yes, he gets a tough matchup here against New Orleans, but I think I'm okay with that. At $6,900, this guy is at home, and he's been so impressive in the passing game, averaging 292 yards, Michael. The other play that I'm going to have at running back is Amari DeMarcado. He is going to be a big savings at only $5,900. If you're wondering, who is this guy? Well, he is the guy who is replacing James Conner, who just got put on IR. Now, if you look at the game log, he had 10 carries for 45 yards. But what's noteworthy is no other running back received any carries last week other than James Conner. He'll be the lead back, and at $5,900, well worth it. He faces the 20th ranked rush defense for the Rams, so it's not like he has a bad matchup. What do you think of these two players at cheaper prices?
Yeah, what we want in running back is somebody who's going to get all those touches against a team that he can, put the ball in the end zone on, and also, get some yards against. DeMarcado's that guy. I think a lot of folks think that he's going to be sharing some time while Connor continues to be out, but not this week. They're just not ready to have somebody up and running this week. And CJ Stroud, love what he's done. And he's produced very well without actually getting a rushing touchdown, despite the fact that he is a physical presence. Look for that to happen, maybe a way that he can even get a higher performance against New Orleans.
All right, so only have 4,900 left, but we're still going to get a quality number one wide receiver in our third wide receiver spot. It is at $6,500. Michael Pittman of the Indianapolis Colts. Now, some of you may be worried because Anthony Richardson is out this game, but I think it's actually good news for Michael Pittman because he has a real rapport with Gardner Minshew. Minshew will, he is a somewhat mobile quarterback, but he is not going to steal all the touchdowns and run nearly as much as Anthony Richardson. I'm talking about Minshew. So you saw what Pittman did to the Indianapolis Colts, to the Jacksonville Jaguars in week one. Very impressive. That was with partially Minshew and partially Richardson in that game. Really glad that I was able to fit him in this lineup. And then let's talk about tight end. We had to go cheap. Yes, I really liked Evan Ingram at $5,000, I think $500. But we can't afford him. So Tyler Conklin is our guy at $4,900. Man, you just have to appreciate how consistent this guy is, right? First of all, we love the fact that Zach Wilson has such a rapport with him and uses him as his dump-off guy. Every game getting at least 5 or 6 targets, and he inherits a game against Philadelphia that is really good against the run. but very vulnerable against the pass and against tight ends. 25th against the pass, 24th against tight ends. Michael, trying to save money. What do you think about Pittman and Conklin?
Yeah, well, I mean, saving money is good. Going with the Jets, anyone who's connected with Zach Wilson, I'm so frustrated down on him as a BYU Coug. I'm really frustrated that he has not been more accurate. He's had, the Conklin's maybe been somebody he's gone with, but hard for me to stomach, getting a Jet in. But I know you had to save some money, so I'll forgive you there. But also frustrated that Pittman just hasn't quite yet performed. But I think that you're pointing out that Minshew has been a little bit better to Pittman is good. So I'm supportive, but you only have $3,300. What are you going to do on defense?
On defense, I'm shocked that this team is this cheap. I'm actually not going to pick the Arizona Cardinals, even though I can afford them. Give me the one of the cheapest defenses out there. I think there's only one that's cheaper. Is the Chicago Bears. Can barely fit them in. Yes, I did mean that. Can barely fit them in. They are a home team. They have they play Minnesota, normally a good offense, but they don't have their best weapon in Justin Jefferson. So I also have liked Chicago's offense has shown life in the last 2 weeks. So maybe from a game script, they're not going to be way behind for once. So those are the Bears.
Yeah, well, I guess you didn't have much to choose from, so I'll say okay.
Okay, so that's our FanDuel lineup. We're going to take a look. We did this week prepare a GPP lineup, so let's present that real quickly. Okay, here is the GPP lineup where we always want to have correlation, so we're going to build it around a stack. And deciding which game I wanted to stack, I picked the third highest scoring game, Jacksonville and the Colts, 46.5 over under, which isn't bad, but I love that it's a small spread, 4 points. So we should have some back and forth. Trevor Lawrence, who's actually looked a lot better over the last 2 weeks, facing the 28th ranked pass defense in Indianapolis, throwing to his favorite target, Calvin Ridley. Hopefully he can repeat what he did in week 1 against these same Colts when he lit them up. And Evan Ingram. Both of these guys are relative bargains at 5,500. Ingram has had 8 targets 4 weeks in a row, which is pretty good. And we're going to run that back with Michael Pittman. We already talked about Michael Pittman in the cash, so I won't say it again. And then I picked a second game to discuss, the Miami-Carolina. That is tied for the highest over-under at 48.5. But I'm going to take advantage of the spread. Miami's a big favorite, so I'm going to pick Raheem Mostert as the favored team and then run that back with Adam Thielen, who should have plenty of opportunities to catch passes. Thielen has been on fire in the last 4 games, 11 targets in the last 4 games. And then Joe Mixon, going to take a shot on Joe Mixon here. He's been a major disappointment, but he's at home, favored. He has been getting plenty of opportunities. He had 29 touches this past week. It's just, I'm uncomfortable with Mixon in cash, but I think he's a great play in GPP. Any comments about any of these players, Michael?
Well, did you want to touch on Devonta Smith as well?
Sure. We'll briefly talk about Smith. We're definitely not going to talk about the Bears again. Devonta Smith's been a disappointment in the last 2 weeks, but I think people have to remember from a GPP perspective, guys can go up and down, especially at wide receivers. Trust Devonta Smith's role in this game, on this team. He was outstanding last year. Over the year, it was almost as good as A.J. Brown in yards, in receptions. I'm looking here for a breakout performance.
Yeah, no, I really like that. I like picking because of some of the bargain pricing that you can get. I like picking this Jacksonville, Indianapolis game as kind of your core list of players, with Ridley doing that repeat. And Evan Ingram, a couple catches that got called back during that last game in London were to Ingram. So and if you're going to take that Miami game, I think the way to go with it is a running back for Miami, and then the wideouts for Carolina. I know it's tempting to get the high upside of the wide receivers from Miami, but I think Mostert brings that to you. And of course, I mean, you can't talk about Mixon or Devontae Smith without knowing that they have a lot of high potential. I actually think this is going to be a good week for Mixon, but not comfortable, like you say, in a cash game where you want that really high floor.
All right, so let's switch gears and talk about DraftKings, our cash lineup. All right, so we got to go bargain hunting here on DraftKings, and I am going to start at running back. And let's get Roschon Johnson at only $4,600. Got to give you a bunch of caveats. And some of you guys saying, who is Roschon Johnson? He is the back on the Chicago Bears who is going to take over for Khalil Herbert. Khalil Herbert is doubtful this week, so almost certainly Johnson will be the lead back as long as he is healthy. He is in concussion protocol. Now, remember, he played the game on Thursday, so he has a lot of time to catch up. But really like this matchup at home against the Minnesota defense that is not that good. I do want to give you a pivot, though. My pivot is $200 more. You can go to Amari DiMercato. If you watch the FanDuel section, he is the guy we just finished discussing with James Conner on IR. He is definitely going to be the lead back. So definitely a potential pivot there. So for now, we'll put Johnson in our lineup. At wide receiver, we're going to spend a little money relative to how much we have left at $5,900. I'm shocked this guy is so cheap. Adam Thielen. Just look what this guy has done in the last 4 games. He is averaged 11 targets in the last 4 games. I love the fact that he's facing Miami. The one thing I'm certain about Miami is they're going to put points on the board, and that's going to force Carolina to pass. And Thielen's going to be the beneficiary. Michael, what do you think of these first 2?
Yeah, well, especially Adam Thielen. I can't believe he's only $5,900. Like, he's just not getting any attention on DraftKings, which is great. Where you want obviously a lot of receptions to go with those yards and getting in the end zone. And he's done just that really every week since that week 1. And yeah, I mean, you always got to find bargains. And the way to do that is to go after injuries. I agree that Johnson looks like he's going to be the guy there. A little bit of risk with that, but we got to use that price tag so we get these other guys in the lineup. So like it a lot.
Yeah. So full PPR on DraftKings. I love, we have Chase. Thielen can you let Thielen in the club, please? At tight end, we're going to get Evan Ingram at $4,500. Again, on DraftKings, full PPR. I want someone who's going to get a lot of targets, and he's gotten plenty of targets. 8 targets in a row in the last 4 games. I think Trevor Lawrence is looking like his old self from last year. Weird to say Trevor Lawrence an old self, but glad to get him in at a very good price at $4,500. And the last player, before we talk about a defense, that I want to get in is at quarterback, and we only have $7,600. So we're going to have to go on the cheap. I was thinking Gardner Minshew at $5,000. He is going to be the quarterback taking over for Anthony Richardson, but I can afford for $200 more Joshua Dobbs. And I want to take advantage of the fact that Dobbs is in one of the highest scoring games this week, 48.5 over under. And I like the extra against a very average Ram defense. I like the fact that Dobbs can give you something extra with his legs. He is truly a weapon. With that, can't beat the price. So Dobbs is in our lineup.
I want to comment just a minute on tight ends in DraftKings, right? Like they are consistently, and FanDuel for that matter, they're consistently priced low. You know, the benefit on DraftKings is they are full PPR. If you can find a guy like an Ingram who really does get similar targets to some of the better wide receivers, got to take advantage of that pricing. You know, if you are so poor that you can't afford to have a strong flex, that's something you could also do, is double up on tight end. So just wanted to make that comment before we finish off.
I want to talk about the defense I'm going to pick. It's a very cheap defense. And usually, Michael, you're like, I don't want to talk about your defense. There's nothing positive. But look at this. What if I told you that the defense is at home? They're one of the best defenses in all the NFL, truly. They've averaged 3 sacks per game. They're coming off a bye, so they're very well rested. And they're only 2,200. What's the catch? Well, the catch is they play the San Francisco 49ers, who are probably the best offense. But I don't care. I don't care. Give me the Browns. Can you explain to me why the Browns, other than the fact that they're playing the Niners, are so cheap at 2,200? Go back to defense. I'm sorry. Look at this. You mean to tell me that the Cardinals, the Bears? All right, everybody, take care. We will put on the screen 2 videos we think that you'll enjoy. And until next time, have a good one.